Welcome to Legacy Conversations, a channel where we preserve military memories and history.
Hello everyone, it's Chris here. I want to talk to you about codename Masamole 26. Now, Masamole actually exists. It's a friend. Basically, what happened was is when Rebecca and I got married some years ago, we didn't know that in South Africa, before you get married, you actually need permission from the Home Affairs, LFAs. You need to they actually explain to me months before you actually marry a foreigner, which he of course is, not being a South African. Then to combat fraud, you need to actually see them beforehand and you need to explain to them why you're getting married and blah, blah, blah. It was a damn nightmare, I can tell you. It was a dreadful nightmare to do that because we were already married in the eyes of God. But to do the paperwork was really something horrible. So if I can give you any advice, if you want to marry a foreigner, then don't do it in South Africa. Don't even bother. Go somewhere else. Go to Mauritius or go to her country or his country or wherever. I don't care, man. But South Africa, you waste your time. But anyway, we found this fellow who actually then assisted us. And finally, we got the paperwork sorted out, and it was really nice. And I said to him, look, I'll write you a book. I'll write a book and call it after you. It just as a way of saying thank you. And out of that came codename Masamole 26. The 26th refers to the 26th of March. We got married on the 1st of March, and from there on we struggled, and she had to go back on the 30th of March. And so by the 26th, we were like totally, you know what, let this go. So we're not married. We will go marry in another country or whatever in the future, blah, blah, blah. Of course, in that case, I don't think we would have stayed together, to be honest, because COVID would have come. And I would have been stuck in South Africa and she would have been in that place. And I just don't think it would have worked out. But anyway, because of this fellow Masamole, we actually did got the paperwork sorted. I'm very grateful. But anyway, the book has nothing to do with him as such. The book itself is a plot to capture some people off a ship in the Mozambican Channel, if I remember correctly, and to do that they used the Willow Bay method. Now, the Willow Bay method is something I will deal with in a later episode. It's based upon the code name Willow Bay. It's a method on how to get onto a ship which is hijacked by terrorists, or for some reason you want to get on the ship without people knowing it, or perhaps you want to rescue people, whatever you want to do, or even kill people. You need to get aboard. And the three standard ways of doing it, first is, of course, by just approaching it with a rubber duck, all Rambo type. It wouldn't work. It will not work against a mobile ship, as we call a terrorist ship. It won't work because the sonar will pick you up long before you get there and will be shot dead long before you board. Then you can, of course, try to do it with helicopters coming in to flare fast rope down. Nah, 1970s, man, it's not going to work. Not going to work. You'll be shot down long before you get there. And the other way is just to swim to the ship, but you can't do that if it's moving. Now, there's a whole bunch of reasons why the Willow Bay method came into being. But that's in the book. I'm not going to discuss it here. I'm just saying that this book is about trying to get hold of people on board a ship for some reason and get them off that ship without people even knowing you're there. Very fascinating how it was done using the Willow Bay method. But anyway, so the main thing about Masamole is it describes to you how the USA was actually created, how America was created. I use that word, created, by the Jesuits to become the second beast of the Bible. I do realize a lot of you will shake your heads and think, oh man, you're way off now. Where do you come out? It is, as I say to people, you have to look at certain things in life from a higher view than just technical. In other words, you have to ask yourself, why is it so that if you take the terrorist organizations like ISIS and Al Qaeda, and people who chop people's heads off, still doing it to this very day, the ones who attacked the Twin Towers, why is it that the US are actually supporting these people on the one hand, and on the other hand, they're fighting these people? Why is that? It makes no sense. I mean, it makes no sense. And then they all hate Iran, who I suppose can be hated for whatever reason. But the fact is, Iran is Shia Muslims are actually themselves killing Al Qaeda and ISIS at a great scale. Why? Because there's a fight between the Sunnis and the Shia, the same as in the old days with Catholics and the Christians, meaning the Protestants. Now, I don't want to get into a fight with Catholics. I have been accused by some to say I actually hate them because of a book I wrote, Oath of Evil. It's nonsense. Let me put it here once again, as I've put so numerous times in that book and other books. I do not hate Catholics. I have a problem with Catholics. I have a problem with a system, which I believe is the Son God system, and I think it's from Satan. End of story. That's my beliefs, and I have really good reasons why I say that. But I don't want to go into a debate yet. Only to read the books, and we can talk about it then. But I do have good reasons, and it's fascinating that every single reformer, the great reformers from Martin Luther to Calvin and all those people, all of them said the same. They said two things, which is interesting. They identified Catholicism as the first beast of the Bible. They talk about the Pope as the Antichrist, the system of popery. And they also talk about the second beast, which is the USA. That's the Bible. That is how it's interpreted by many. And so the question arose to me is now, what happened? How was the US when actually created? And I started researching that and I started looking at it. And there's a couple of things which we found out. One was the compromise of Frenches, which is with the UK, where the UK actually signed over, the British Crown signed over their power and their rights towards the Pope. That happened, yeah, documentary evidence of that. But you can read about it as well in several books. There was also the Battle of Yorktown, which is very, very interesting also to speak about in the books. I just want to say, when a book is classified as fiction, it's not totally fiction, if you understand what I mean. A lot of the things inside the books might have been a training exercise. They might have happened. Of course, it's changed to protect people. Not every word is the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. But when we start talking about biblical issues or historical issues or tradecraft, weapon systems, it is totally the truth. There is no left or right about it. If I say to you there was the Battle of Yorktown and this happened at Yorktown, then you can damn well believe this is what happened at Yorktown. And if you research it, you will find a lot more evidence than what I actually put in the books, because you are limited. I mean, I'm limited to about 700 pages when you write. And that is the cutoff for a hardcover book at Amazon. And this book is like all of them is available at Amazon in audio, Kindle, as well as hard and soft cover. It's not in South Africa yet. For me to get it in South Africa costs money. To get it on print of demand, and I'm not doing it unless the books pay for themselves. But it is, as I say to you, if you read the George M. James book or any of my other books, the money comes back to legacy. It helps us to get the equipment. It helps us to tour around and to make videos for you of Mirages and, Alouettes and the Puma and whatever we do and did. It costs money to do these things, guys. It's not for free. But I'm not begging anybody for money. I mean, if you're a Patreon, you do get a reward out of it. You get to see the videos long before the rest of you. And if you buy the books, man, you've got a damn good book. You can read it or listen to it, and you will enjoy it. Because they are very, very different from normal books. They're not the normal, I feel sorry for me. No, they're not like that at all. These people in these books actually kick ass. And there's a lot of historical truths in them, which makes them very interesting. So anyway, the question comes is now how did they actually create the US? And this you will not read in the history books, guys, but they can't deny it either. As much as they say to me, you can't prove it, I say to me, you cannot not prove it, or you cannot really deny it, simply because the historical facts are there. And if you start linking the dots, it's a very, very likely scenario which played off. And it starts with a guy called Ricci, Lorenzo Ricci or Ricci. He was a Jesuit general. Now, the Jesuit order we speak about a lot in many books, Oath of Evil especially, we go into it. This one as well, we have in several books, we actually have an oath. And we have that oath there because it's the most evil damn thing you can imagine. That is where the book's name actually comes from, Oath of Evil, the war on Protestantism, because they were created about 20 years after Martin Luther, and they were created to destroy reform. In other words, Protestantism. And are we still doing it? Yes, absolutely, to this very day. Most of the nonsense you see in Christians being murdered everywhere, by which I mean Protestants, others as well, it's not by chance, guys. They don't think these things are by chance. They're not by chance. There's plans behind them, but you have to be able to look at it from a higher viewpoint. You can't look at these things just from a tactical viewpoint. You have to say to yourself, and forgive me if I repeat myself, but you have to look at it from a heavenly side almost. You have to look at it from a view of the Bible. You have to ask yourself, right, if there's a God and there's Jesus and there's the Holy Spirit, the Godhead, and the Bible tells you there was a war in heaven and Satan lost that war, Lucifer, and he came to earth and he fell down here to create havoc and blah, blah, blah. Then of course you have to understand that, yes, then he's probably going to create havoc. And there are a lot of prophecies which are playing out. And those prophecies I deal with at Oath of Evil in great detail. But I did put them in other books as well. So this chapter on how the US was created is also in Oath of Evil, slightly modified to be a bit shorter because it is a 700-page book already. And you are limited in how much information you can give out. And of course, how much information people can take in. But one thing I've learned in life, if you tell a story, people remember it. That's why you remember the legacy stories. But I guarantee you, the ones who put it down on a PDF type of slide there, and he's just playing, and the guy's giving his lecture, you're gonna fall asleep. You'll never remember it because it's not as interesting as a story. That is why your own stories about your own service is so important. That's how people remember. I call that the African way of teaching. It's the same as sitting under a tree and listening to an elder talking about the old days. And if he's a good historian, he will add a few stories there as well, to make it a bit more interesting. And that's what we do with the books. But this Ricci fellow, there's strange things about him, and that's what we're looking for in the world where I come from. Is you always look for something which is not normal. There's something strange here. And what was strange about Ricci is he's absolutely hated by the Jesuits, even though he was the commander, the general. And the reason why he used the word general is because it's a military order. They are the ones going out, they're special forces, if you want to call them that. They go out and they're the ones behind every single Western president. You'll find him there. They're all there. And it's fascinating. Take a guy like Joseph Biden, Joe Biden, the former president. And you would look at when he took his oath. His hand was on a Bible, yes. But what Bible did he use? He had the Jesuit Bible. It was for Douay, Rhymes Douay. Jesuit Bible. He denies Jesus because they cannot accept that Jesus is actually the Savior. They have to replace Jesus. They replace Jesus with Mary. That's what they did. Go and look at the program I had with Professor Walter Wife. We speak about that. Or go to the program where I did a testimony at the Clash of Minds show of Professor Wife. And I explained these things also there. It had more than 45, almost 50,000 views by now. There's a lot of things which made no sense for me. I couldn't understand why the US is supporting Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And they actually, against Iran, were actually killing ISIS and Al-Qaeda. How do you get these things together? You cannot unless you understand there's something else happening. If you understand it's the second beast of the Bible, you will understand why it's trying to enforce its will on everybody. And the Bible says it actually will enforce its will on everybody. But that will and power which it got is from the first beast. And behind the first beast, of course, is Satan. Sad to say that because he looks like a lamb, you talk the right language. But when you look at the deeds, you find something else completely. So anyway, with this Risi, in his time, the Jesuits actually got banned. And it's the first time in their history, and they had to sort of close down, and everybody was extremely angry with this Risi. They say it was him who caused it, and they banned him into a castle where the poor guy was sitting alone, according to them. Was sitting alone there in the castle, nobody visiting, and then he died. And, it's just a horror story for them. Yes, but then explain to me, why was Risi given a full, honorable funeral? Why? Why was he buried then with the other Jesuit generals? Why? It makes no sense. If this guy is so horrible and he's so bad and that you don't like the man, why would you give him such honors? So it always, when you work with a cult of which the Jesuits, of course, are part of, I mean, they control the Freemasons, the Knights of Malta, the Knights of St. John. You call it, these guys are behind all of this. Then it's always the opposite. If they say something is black, it's actually white. And if it's white, it's black. That's why the damn Pope is called the Black Pope. The general, it's called the Black Pope. And you have a white Pope, the one you see, the one which the Bible talks about. The man who says a lot, the man who thinks he can change time. And that is an important factor which comes out in this book. Now, something strange happened in the US. At some stage, they decided that they're going to be independent. You all know the story. And we all know how special the American Declaration of Independence really is. I mean, if you take the times of the day and when they did it, it is fantastic. But they did do something very strange in that, in the dependence in the Declaration. Couple of things, once again, which stood out. In the first place, they made sure that religion is totally free for all. Now, at that stage, America was basically a Protestant country. As much as the Huguenots fled from France to South Africa, you also had the Puritans who fled from Europe to the US, Protestants. And there were actually wars, like small-scale fights and battles were going on between them. The Catholic states like Maryland and the rest of them, they were insurrections. They were fights. They just couldn't stand these people because they knew what happened in the Middle Ages, in the Dark Ages. They knew the suppression. They knew that at some stage the system will revise itself because they read the Bible. They know it's going to happen. And so they didn't like these people. Now, if you read the books, Oath of Evil as well as this one, you will find all the occult signs in Washington, D.C. You will find out that the White House is actually called not because of the paint color, but because where it comes from. It was a Jesuit priest, I think the first one in the US from Maryland. It used to be his house or his property, and that's where they built it. And then they call it the White House. And you are ignorant because you don't know these things. And you think, it's just the thing is painted white, Yeah, it says a bit Freemason symbols on it. Yeah, we see the pillars and the little, the driehoeke, and we see all those things. But yeah, those things are in the old days. No, you know what? It's not in the old days. These things were not done by itself. These things didn't just happen. It was planned. And so anyway, so they decided they're going to be independent. Now, what is fascinating is there's a guy called John Adams. He also became a president. And of all of them, of the founding fathers, and most of the presidents afterwards, almost all of them, were all Freemasons, which is satanic. I don't care what you say to me. If you read the way, well, read the books and then go and do some research. Freemasonry is not just Freemasonry. It is sun worship. End of story. And I don't have a time to explain everything here, but go and do some research. Yes, and call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't care. You know the difference between a conspiracy theorist these days and not being one is about 2 years. But then everything which people said was a conspiracy actually turns out to be the truth. How's that possible? How is it possible that the CIA, who invented that term, conspiracy theorist, actually has been run by very strict Catholics from the beginning? People would go to the Pope and kneel down and kiss his ass and kiss his ring and get their orders from him. How's that possible? You think that's by chance? FBI, same story. You'll be surprised. All the dictators in the world, all Catholics. I say again, don't hate Catholics. Don't put words in my mouth. It's not true. I pray for all of them. Hope they see the light. Hope they come to the reform. Become part of a reformation. Anyway, if I ask any of you, 4th of July, 1776, you will say to me Independence Day. Yeah, 4th of July. But explain to me why the 4th of July? Why that date? Because John Adams at that stage was not actually a Freemason or a occultist, as far as we know. Later he went astray, no doubts about it. But he also had something else. He was one of those people who wrote a lot of letters. And he was a funny person because he would never make a mistake when he write a letter. It's not like us who had to do it and redo it and then do it again. No, he wasn't like that. He would take his pen, which didn't look like this, of course, probably a Fiat pen or something. And he wrote a letter to his wife, Abigail, on the 3rd of July. And he said to her, yesterday, that's the 2nd of July, 1776, he said, yesterday the greatest question was decided. Whichever was debated in America, and greater perhaps never was or will be decided amongst men. Now he's heading towards the Independence Declaration. He says, a resolution was passed without one descending colony. And they said that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be free and independent states, and as such, they have, and of right, ought to have full power to make war, conclude peace, establish commerce, and do all the other acts and things which other states might rightfully do. Bingo. This is where you create a state. No one else has that right. Microsoft doesn't have that right. I don't have that right. No one else has a right. Only a state can do the things he's talking about. So what he says is the decision was made on the 2nd of July. So tell me, how did it then come that we only celebrated it 2 days later, on the 4th of July? What happened? Again, we have to look at these loose things. How does it happen? Now, historically, they explain that, yes, the decision was made at Congress, which was in Philadelphia, I believe, and then they had to let everybody know about it and get approval, and therefore it took 2 days, and therefore it's the 4th. Well, that might be. That is the official history as far as I understand it. But something else happened there as well. And that something else goes back quite a long time. It goes back to the changing of time. Now, you will know that the Bible says there will be an entity, there will be people who think they can change time. And they use the word think. They think they can do it because you can't really. It's still the same time. God created time. There's no way that you can, as a human being or as an institution or something, change time. But in fact, they did change time. They tried to. In the sense that they were using the Julian calendar was used up to about 1752. And then came a Pope, Gregory. and they changed it to the Gregorian calendar, which we still use today. Now, what's the difference? The difference was in the old times before they changed that, when it becomes sunset, it's a new day. But they changed it to midnight. And that's what we use today. But of course, by changing this over, a few days got lost. So the real date for the 4th of July, and it's in the book. If you go back and you go to the Julian calendar and you don't go to the Gregorian, then you're going to come very close to 20th of June. Now, what's interesting about 20th of June, and all these occultists, they really have something about their dates. It's very fascinating how they do it. They have something about dates. You know, they have to do certain things. It's a this year, it's a millennium, it's a this, it's a this. They do believe in their stupid things because they look at the stars, and then the stars lines up, and then there's this miracle. You know what? It's unbiblical. It's from Satan. We don't do that. We put our faith in our Lord Jesus, and that's it. But the 20th of June is also known as Solstice Day. It's the day of a sun god. Isn't that fascinating? It's the day of a sun god. So the US was actually created, the second beast of the Bible was created on the day of solstice, or very close to it. And the way they then celebrate this day in the old days and today is they shoot fireworks, they make fires, they hit the stumps, and you see the sparks flying, blah, blah, blah. Even that is biblical in the sense that the Bible talks about that thing and how they used it in the old days to throw their babies across these fires to sort of offering them to the sun god. Think about that next time you see 4th of July. It's still going on. It is sun worship. But there was something more happening. While they were talking there, this is a matter of historical fact as well. It comes out in some of the occult books which they write about it. Is that it wasn't just a decision made just like that. You have to remember this was mutiny. This was insurrection against the British Crown. And if you did that in the old days, you know what? There's a good chance that they're not just going to hang you or shoot you. They might dismember you. I mean, they might hang, draw, and quarter you. They were cruel punishment for what these guys were doing. That's why John Adams says this was a momentous decision. And so they were a little bit sort of confused about it. They were a little bit talking about it. They didn't really know what to do. And they were wavering. They were thinking, oh, shall we do this or shall we not do this? Now, while they were doing that, suddenly a gentleman stood up there. And they say he was very well spoken. He was a man of power. He was a man of wisdom. He was a man who you could listen to. What we would call in Afrikaans a oom, you know. He was like this. And he made a speech. And he made the most fantastic speech where he basically told them to get their act and to go for independence and make sure there's freedom of speech and freedom of religion. There's nothing of that left, by the way. Because state and church will have to become one again, to go back to the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages, and it is happening. But if you think it's not happening, read Oath of Evil. Your eyes might be opened there. I hope so. So anyway, this professor, they all called him the professor. He made the speech and he sort of disappeared and he's gone. And nobody really heard of him until a little bit later when then came the story of a Grand Union flag, which later became the US flag, which you guys know these days. And this comes from a book from Manly Palmer Hall, which is The Secret Teaching of All Ages. See if you can get hold of it. It's a occult book. It is the handbook of him. It is the book. It is their Bible almost. It's very highly rated with him. And it's inside this book where you read about the professor having done these things, which I just explained. And then it came again in the book where he talks about the Grand Union flag. Now, he was very active in designing this flag, and he wanted to do this flag in a certain way. Now I currently remember that they have an occult language, and the occult language is easy to see once you know it. They make these stupid signs like this. Yeah, yeah. They make it like that. Or they have these stupid secret handshakes. They don't shake hands like that. Or if you will see many of these older people, they're standing there with their hands on a desk and they're holding onto a Bible. Yeah, all of these things are signs. So they have their arms put in like this. It's all Freemason signs. Once you can read it, you can see it. And this flag, which would have had six pointed stars, I believe, which signified certain things in the occult world, and also these stripes and things. Now the official history will tell you, no, that was the flames as they were shooting, and that's how they got to this flag. But the fact is, if you research it a bit, the Grand Union flag, you will actually find a lot out about it, and you will see the occult signs on it. Now, okay, there's not a flag in the world, there's not a department crest, there's not a badge, there's nothing in the world which is not occult. That includes the rugby teams, the soccer teams, whatever you call it, all the news agencies. You go and look at the way their logos look like, you will find the occult in there. Now, who was this professor? Who was this professor who stood up there and was involved with the occult flag? And it's the one who was actually behind the voice behind the Independence Day, which I already told you came very close to Celestis Day. Who was this fellow? Nobody knows, because he sort of disappeared. Now, right, let's go back to Rome. You'll remember that Ricky was now dethroned there, the Jesuits were disbanded, and now he's sitting there in his workplace. Nobody sees him for about 2 years because the poor man is being avoided. He's a social disgrace. Now, it just happened so that Ricky was not only a general, he was also a professor. Yeah, he was a professor in Bible studies or whatever. They had one of the great Jesuit universities, and there's many of them. The most famous in the US is Georgetown University. You hear anybody coming from Georgetown, you found out about any guy who graduated there. Tom Clancy is one of them. Guess what? You have to be very, very careful, because Jesuit University. And they're across the world. If you read Oath of Evil, you're going to find a list of all the Jesuit universities in the world. As I say, they bring these people out, and they're very smart people, and they're delusional. They're not bad people in any sense of the word by themselves. They're just totally delusional, and they bought into this idea. They don't probably even know it is Satan worship or sun worship. They probably don't know that. You should pray for them. But the fact of the matter is, they have an ear of every president. They're behind every president, and that's how you found them out. And they also read each other books. And if you look at the presidents, you'll see the influence on them all the time. So this professor was actually Rixi. Can I prove it? It's, as I say in the book, I cannot prove it, but it cannot be disproved either. It's too long ago. We just don't know. But there are indications. The first indication is nobody saw this guy in Rome during his exile for a long, long time. So he could have gone overseas. He could have been there. He fits the description in every single part. The way this professor looked, the way he spoke with absolute authority, and so forth. That's the one part. The second part is, of course, when he died and he got his hero's funeral. Why is that? How did that happen? We don't know. Perhaps one day when we're in heaven, we will be able to judge even the saints. The Bible says so. In other words, the books will be opened, and we will be able to see who did what and who didn't do what. And then we will see the role which was played. But it really makes sense, because if the Bible is correct, and if the US is identified as a second beast correctly, then it makes sense that it would have been created. It's also so, and it's also in the book Hope of Evil, that major power of the day, that is France, who, by the way, banned the Bible at some stage. It's a Catholic country. That France recognized the US first as a new power. In other words, as a country. And then the rest of the countries followed. And that was the creation of the US. So go and read the book. As I say, it's not only about creation. That's only one chapter. There's a lot of other things in it as well. And thank you for listening this far. As I said, the book is available on Amazon, only Amazon. It's not in South Africa yet, because it's cost money to put a book in South Africa. But it's available in audio, Kindle, as well as hardcover, softcover. Really worth your while to read. You'll find out a lot of things there. And remember, you support books, you support legacy. It helps us to do what we do. So thank you, and God bless.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell to receive notifications.